Welcome to today's Explainer. We're unpacking a really fascinating piece of source text today that's going to completely reshape how you think about something we all use literally every single day. We're going to explore how sound isn't just empty noise, it's actually a physical, measurable force that shapes our reality in some truly profound ways. So let's just dive right in with a bit of a provocative question for you. Can your own voice actually send you to prison? I know, it sounds a bit like a Hollywood thriller, right? But the physical substance of your spoken words holds far more weight and evidence than you might ever realize. To make sense of all this, we're going to look at four distinct dimensions of sound today. First, its forensic power. Second, the psychological impact. Third, the subtle science of mantras. And finally, we'll go from echoes to radar.
All right, let's start with Dimension 1, the forensic power of sound.
Starting on the micro level, historically, courts only really trusted fingerprints as definitive proof. Why? Well, because early tape recordings could easily be forged, or a criminal could just deny it was them on the tape. There was always that lingering seed of doubt. But now, there's this fascinating shift where voice prints are recognized as undeniable, and they're just as unique as the literal ridges on your fingertips. And the source material brilliantly illustrates how this works. Dr. Kurtz's voice print laboratory basically figured out how to analyze sound from three distinct angles. They measure the length of time, the pitch, or that upward movement, and the intensity of the voice. And this breakthrough made it possible to capture those invisible sound waves and turn them into an actual, physical, measurable, visual picture. How cool is that? But why exactly is it foolproof? Well, it all comes down to anatomy. When a child learns to speak, the specific way they naturally contract and expand the muscles in their lips, their teeth, tongue, throat, and lungs, it all develops in a way that is entirely different from every single other person on Earth. That subtle difference, it remains forever. It's kind of wild to think that our mouths all have this completely unique choreography going on. So the absolute crucial takeaway here is that sound acts as a physical substance. Because of this technology, criminals who might have totally escaped justice because they wiped away a fingerprint, well, they can now be caught. Their voice acts as this undeniable physical material left behind at a scene or on a tape, making denial absolutely impossible. Moving right along to Dimension 2, the psychological and social impact of sound. Moving from the strict forensics into human connection, the text explains how spoken words actually act as a highly active physical force on the mind. Think about it. Harsh, insulting words, they trigger this almost instant reaction of anger and hurt. But on the flip side, sweet, respectful words have the incredible power to bring about humility. They can literally turn a bitter enemy into a friend. And to show just how high the stakes really are with speech, the source points to ancient history, specifically the Mahabharata. This massive, legendary war was said to be sparked by the immense emotional impact of just a few insulting words spoken by Draupadi. It's a pretty stark reminder of just how catastrophic the ripple effects of sound can be. You really got to watch what you say, right? But beyond grand ancient conflicts, we see this exact same power operating every single day. Sound is the absolute primary medium for expanding knowledge in schools. Or, think about your favorite concert. The music has this sheer physical power to command and manipulate the mood and logic of a massive gathering of people, pulling everyone into this shared emotional state. Okay, let's jump into Dimension 3, the subtle science of mantras. So how exactly did ancient frameworks view this physical phenomenon? Well, the text uses a really great analogy comparing mantras to playing a sitar. Just like placing specific fingers on specific strings in a deliberate order creates these beautiful musical melodies, pronouncing a very specific sequence of words creates targeted, highly active vibrations right there in the environment. And this reveals what the text calls a biological spiritual connection. According to this subtle science, those physical organs we use to speak, like the palate, the teeth, the lips, they aren't just for talking. They are directly wired to the body's subtle, energetic systems. We're talking about the chakras, hidden glands, and divine powers within the subtle body. I absolutely love this next analogy from the source because it makes everything so incredibly concrete. Pronouncing a mantra is exactly like hitting typewriter keys. But instead of pressing a key to print a letter in ink on a piece of paper, using your vocal organs to pronounce these specific words actually prints active energy flows directly onto your subtle body.
It's essentially a highly scientific process of energy activation.
And these energy flows build into three really distinct, powerful effects. First, when these specific vibrations are created, they awaken dormant internal abilities right within the practitioner. Second, as those sound waves echo outward, they alter the external environment. And third, they can actually be directed to impact specific individuals in the subtle world. It creates this sort of invisible bridge between the speaker and the target. Which brings us to our final section, Dimension 4, from echoes to radar. Shifting gears entirely to the macro world of modern technology, we look at radar, which, if you didn't know, stands for radio detection and ranging. Now, we usually think of radar as this modern military or aviation tool, but it's actually deeply inspired by the fundamental physical properties of sound, specifically the way waves reflect off surfaces. Think about shouting into a really deep well, or maybe towards a large dome. It basically breaks down like this. A sound wave is emitted, it travels out as a physical force until it hits a solid object, and then it reflects right back as an echo. By measuring the exact time difference between when that sound was emitted and when the echo returns, we can calculate incredibly precise distances, velocities, and even the shapes of unseen objects. And the incredible foundational principle here is that radio waves behave identically to sound waves in this regard. They reflect off solid surfaces in the exact same manner. Recognizing that physical similarity is precisely what made the invention and application of radar technology possible in the very first place. So, to recap our analysis today, we've explored the forensic power of sound, its psychological impact, the subtle science of mantras, and its incredible evolution into radar technology. And that leaves us with a final, fascinating thought to carry with you today. Knowing that your voice is as unique as a fingerprint, that your words literally hold the physical weight to start wars or forge friendships, and that the vibrations you create ripple out into the world, how will you use your unique voice today?